Hi teachers, this is the instructional guide for Primary 2, Term 4, Week 4. Now for this week, right, initially I planned to cover a lot, but then I realized that the first booklet, it's, I would say a bit more complex because it requires students to understand what legend means, right, is what you see here. But also it is important for students to be able to do some multiplication work later on, right? So therefore, I thought, the first one and the second one might need a bit more time. And so I decided to just do two booklets instead of 4. Rest of the time, you can also make use of the time to either for them to do more practice, right, of this in class, or for them to do corrections, okay? So for the first booklet that we'll be doing is reading picture graphs and scales. Okay, so you can look at this question here. Start by the teaching, go as per normal, right there. We start with the learn segment, right here. The easy one, Eddie has 4 circles, right? So he has 4 lollipops because take note, the student, the legend here says each circle represents 1 lollipop, right? And Fiona has 10, so therefore it means there's 10. So again, for good practice, right? Always ask student to write the numbers here, right? So this should be 4, this should be 10, right? And this should be 6. Okay, make it good practice. Now, for the second page, it's a bit challenging. All right, so now get student to look at this here. What it means here is each lollipop stands for, each circle stands for 2 lollipops. So if you look at Eddie, right? Eddie has got 2 circles. It doesn't mean that he has 2 lollipops because 1 lollipop equals 2, 2 lollipops equals 2. Help them to do the equation. So it's actually 2 times 2. Okay, and so equals to 4 lollipops, equals to 4, right? So they should always do it like that, right? The working is over here, but I thought it's clearer if you write it here so they understand what's going on. Okay, so 5 circles means 5 groups of 2, 5 times 2, okay, equals 20, right? Equals 10. Okay, and then so on, and then it's 5, and then this is 3 times 5. Okay, so please make sure, get them the habit of writing by the side so that's easy for them. Okay, now let's get to do guided practice now. Okay, so picture graph below shows the number of adults in the hall. Men is 2 squares, women is 4 squares. So they need to look at legend here first. Legend means here the legend says 1 square stands for 3. So there are 2 squares. So equation should be 2 times 3. Okay, I know there are steps here, but get them do it here first, right? This is to train them to make direct comparison with the graph here so they have a better understanding. Okay, and then this one is 4 times 3, okay, which is equals to 12, right? For those of you who are not good in multiplication, okay, you may get them to think if 1 equals 3, you can write the 3 inside there. Okay, so there you go, right? So for those who are not got good multiplication, right, they can do this, right? But we try to do multiplication as best as possible. Then after that, they can fill in the blanks here, right? How many men are there in the hall? So we really got working here, 2 times 3 equals 6, right? 6 men, and then women and so on. Okay, now this one a bit different, right? Take note that first of all, read this, ask them to read the question. Picture graph below shows the type of fruits in a fruit basket. So get them look at the legend first. Here each stands for 4 fruit, right? So let's do this. So there are 3 triangles. So 3 times 4 equals, okay, 12. 2 times 4 equals 8. Now this one is very interesting, right? There's a half triangle there first. There's a half triangle there. So ask them not to worry about a half triangle, worry about whole triangle first. So there are 5 triangles here. So 5 times 4 equals 20. Now, then go back to the half triangle. So if one whole triangle is 4, what is half triangle? 4 divided by 2, correct? 4 divided by 2. One whole triangle is 4. 4 fruits divided by 2, it's equals to 2. Okay, so here actually in total, right, is 22, right? 20 plus 2 here. Okay, then you can ask them to the question because we're just getting them to do working here, but they should be able to do transfer the answer here. All right. So then thereafter, right, same thing here. This is all the steps here. How many apples and pears are there in the fruit basket? Apples and pears. So now the count triangles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 triangles. So 5 times 4, right? Because each triangle stands for 4. Okay, same thing. How many more oranges than apples are there in the fruit basket? So oranges has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5. Apple has got 3. So 5.5 minus 3 is 2.5. Right? So they do 2 times 4 first, equals 8, and then the half stands for 2. Okay, so a bit complex. So take time to do this with them. Now the next lesson is making picture graphs with scales. Okay, so first of all, the first step, what they need to do is to count the number of balloons first. So 6 balloons here, 12 marbles, write it down, and then 9 clips. Okay, now they're supposed to do a scale. Right, so she wants to put the data in the picture graph. First, she comes up with the title, right? Number of items. Next, she comes up with the scale. So each scale stands for 3. Now, finally, she does a calculation to find out how many triangles to draw. So for 6 balloons, right? You can draw it here first. If 6 equals to 3, sorry, if 1 triangle equals to 3 items, there are 6 here, right? Ask student, how many triangles must you draw to represent 6? Right, so it's 2 triangles, 2 times 3, or they can do 6 divided by 3, right? But you can see, okay, 2 triangles will give you 6. Okay, therefore they know it is 2 triangles. Okay, so should be drawing 2 triangles equals 3, right? Can show it this way. What about 12 items? If 1 triangle equals 3, all right, how many triangles must you draw to represent 12? What 3 times what equals 12, right? So some will tell you 4. So therefore, it'll be 4 triangles. Okay, equals 12. All right, so that's this learn segment here. Okay, then you can get them to do the guided practice. Okay, first of all, they count the number of pencils. They count the number of erasers, then pen. Okay, now get them to note. They are supposed to draw this scale. So each square stands for 2, right? So if pencil is 6, how many squares must they draw, right? So 6 pencils, 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Okay, get them to do this, right? Check your answer. And then next step is they're supposed to complete the picture graph. Okay, so try to get this because I've explained a lot already. For guided practice, get them to do their own, all right, and see how it goes. Okay. Question 2 is quite interesting. Gary draws a picture graph. He used 1 circle represents 5, whereas Fiona uses 1 square represents 1 fruit, right? Whose picture graph will you draw? Okay, would you rather draw Gary or not draw Gary? Would you use Gary's method or would you use Fiona's method? Right, answer is Gary's method because there are too many pairs, right? Numbers are too big to draw one by one. So you use 1 circle to represent 5. Okay, after that, I would say give them some guided practice. Perhaps do question 1 and 2. Let them do on their own. 2 because there's a half star here. Right, get them to do their own, check their answers, right, and guide accordingly. Okay, and then we'll go through question 5 with them. All right, this is the part where what came, or rather the circles here were being blotched, so they can't tell. Okay, so work through the questions. How many ribbons does Jack have? Each square each circle stands for 5. So 4 times 5 equals 20, right? 4 times 5. Okay, equals 20, right? So get them to write the answer on the step. Now, Kim has 30 ribbons. So it's broach. We don't know how many circles there are. So if there's 30 and each is 5, what do we use? Multiplication or division or addition or subtraction? Okay, it's 30 divided by 5, right? Because 1 circle represents 5. So 30 divided by 5 equals 6. All right, then they can form a question about a picture graph using the word fewer or more and write your answer in question, right? So it's up to them. Okay. So as I said, if take note that it's a second book. Second book is sort of easier, but do spend maybe because there's so many questions here, right? So do spend a few more time to do a few more questions with them. Perhaps question 11 as well. Okay. And then after that, okay, we move on to book 2. Okay, for book 2, right, they use the tally chart, right? How do you use tally chart? This is the tally chart. Okay, so tell them that this is actually each tally, right, is 5. So it's actually multiples of 5. 5, 10, 15, 20. And how do you tally? So show them the process. Every time you count 1, you write 1. And then the next one will be 2, right? The next one will be 3. And then this one will be 4. And then after that, 5. Okay, so this is considered one group. Okay, one group of 5. This tally. In Chinese, we do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, let's not try to do this because not every student is can read Chinese in your class. Okay, so 正 may mean nothing to them. So we use this instead. Right? So use tally, right? So they count the number. Every time they count a circle, do one stroke, and then get them to do a proper tally. Please make sure that they draw it correctly, right? It's a bit cumbersome or tedious to draw it here, right? But they should be able to do it later on during practice, right, on their own. Okay, so show them this first, right? What if it's a and then after that they can from tally chart they can make it into a picture graph. They can, if each star stands for 2 bits, right, then they need to take note when should they draw the half star. Okay, all right, so now they can do the guided practice. Okay, get them do a count the tally. So this is counted in multiples of 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on. Okay, so write the numbers and they're supposed to answer. How many more monkeys than ostriches? With giraffes. Okay, then get them to do question 2. Okay, after they've done this portion, they are supposed to draw the picture graph. Take note, each represents for 4 stamps. Okay, so they should use these numbers here. 20. If there's 20, how many rectangles must I represent to represent 20 stamps? Okay, so 20 divided by 4 equals 5. So a bit challenging, right? So independent practice, I would say we can skip a few questions and just move them on straight to, let's see, question 3. Get them to do question 3. Okay, and then question 4, where they have to count the tally and then do this, draw the pictures instead. Okay. Okay, this one, okay, this is quite interesting for them to do, right? Can be a bit challenging, right? Because they are mixed all over the place. So they need to be able to count properly, right? So if there's time, perhaps you can do one of this question with them. But if there's very little time left, then I would say do question 10, right? Where there is a half symbol here, or they can create something on their own. So it's up to them. But please do not allow them to do each circle represents one book. Okay, no. Okay, so you don't allow that. All right, so to do this question, they have to write numbers here first, 10, and then here 13. Okay, and then here 12. Right, so ask them what's are they going to use 3 to represent, right? Try to get them to use even numbers instead, right? Even numbers are better in that sense. Okay, so in this case, I think for starters, try with a smaller in number 2. And that's it, right, for this week's lesson. Thank you.